and Senator Seidman.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much for your presentations. I think I might address my question to start with you, David Sweener. You know, before we had Dr. LaFall here from CAMH, he's still here, and I probably should have asked him this question, but I think you'll probably be able to answer it as well. So CAMH wrote, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, they wrote a cannabis policy framework in October 2014, and it has been cited and used repeatedly as the basis for the current legislation that's in front of us. Now, CAMH offered 10 basic principles to guide the regulation of legal cannabis use, and they said these would be the minimum requirements. And one of them says, number 5, curtail higher risk products and formulations. This would include higher potency formulations and products designed to appeal to youth. So this is a minimum requirement according to CAMH. However, we don't really see a lot of harm reduction in this piece of legislation. And so what I'd like to ask you is, you yourself have called for the government to recognize the harms associated with smoking cannabis. We know that 90% or so of young people smoke. When they use cannabis, they smoke it. And so the other aspect, of course, of the fact that they smoke cannabis, so it's combustive, is the THC content. There's no attempt to regulate the potency of the cannabis being used. So could you address perhaps what kind of policy measures you would recommend that the government take to limit the harms associated with smoking cannabis? And how could Bill C-45 be amended to incentivize the use of non-combustible products and, in fact, the whole concept of harm reduction?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I think it's important to recognize in the whole history of public health, many of our biggest advances have come from two really simple things. That first, you give people enough information to make an informed decision, and secondly, you give them the ability to act on that. In recent years, we'd add nudge as well, you know, use things that encourage people to move from one to the other. This legislation, of course, is doing the opposite of saying that, you know, we will allow the most hazardous way of getting marijuana, not the less hazardous ways. I think what we need to do is encourage Health Canada to move quickly, to give information, which we don't have now either in cannabis or on the relative risk of vaping as a way of getting nicotine. Start giving that information to consumers. They can act on it. We are seeing the most rapid declines we have ever seen in smoking rates in countries now, various places around the world, simply because they've allowed substitution. They've given people access to less hazardous products, and people get to know about it. Illicit drug users have known this for years. Bleach was used to sterilize needles, even in the United States during the war on drugs, because even IV drug users could get information and share information to do things like saving their lives. So I think our government needs to be providing people with accurate information, with the ability to act on it. What sorts of products? What are the potencies? And we have the situation now that a lot of people are getting their THC through vaping. And visiting any head shop is, I think, highly recommended, because you'll find that there's many people who are concerned about the risk of smoking marijuana who are vaping it instead. And we're going to take a whole lot of Canadians who are already using that and say we're going to make that illegal. That just isn't good health policy.
Okay, non-smokers' rights, which
Yeah.
one of you? Okay.